Ever wondering how to set up the DNS for a new website using Cloudflare? This is what I do, and I do it all the time, and I'm about to do another one right now. So I thought, let's hop on and make a quick video so I can just give you a walkthrough of exactly how to do it. Maybe I can take a little bit of the mystery out of it for you. Here we go. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to jump right into your Cloudflare account. You're going to want to log in. If you don't have an account, you can log in very easily, and there are some options in there for free websites, free service. You can pay for services, but in the most cases, you're just going to use the free option, which is what I'm going to do here today. Now you can kind of see when you go in, you get a dashboard, and I'm going to have to blur some of this out, but you can see a bunch of the domains that I have in here and stuff like that. So when you do log in, on the left side, you'll have the account home. The first thing you'll see is says add a domain, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a domain. Now, I recently registered this domain and I used Namecheap to register it. It doesn't matter where you register it, this all works the same. However, if you do register it within Cloudflare itself, this setup is kind of automatic. But most people register things at like GoDaddy and different places like that. So I use Namecheap. So here we go. The domain's registered. Before I do anything over in Namecheap, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in. Hit it's scan for existing DNS records. Right here you go, you can see these are the options. If you got really big websites, corporate, all this stuff, you need all these features, do this stuff. But most of you are just going to use the free option right here at the bottom. Then you're going to continue, right? So you're going to continue. It's kind of going out there right now, and it's pulling sort of the public information from the domain registrar. And it's examining what are the current DNS settings. Most of the time you register a domain name, it's going to come with some basic DNS settings already in there. And so it's finding it now. There we go. Boom. So these are the existing DNS records that were associated with the domain when I registered it at Namecheap. I'm not going to need like any of these in the end. But that's what's there for now, right? But before I really want to make any changes, I want to activate this. And there's a big reason I do this. Once this is activated, I can make changes here and it's nearly immediate, as opposed to, the delays that happen when you register, you make these changes directly at your domain registrar. So we'll continue with activation. First thing it tells me to do is, oh, you need to go and update the DNS records where you registered the domain. In my case, Namecheap again, right? So I'm going to take these two. There's a primary and a secondary. So I'm going to go ahead and take the first one. Then I'm going to move over to my Namecheap account. Here is the domain that I registered. This is, the management page. By default, it comes with, basic Namecheap DNS, right? That's not what I want. I want to change it to custom DNS. I'm going to put this name server, first name server there, and then I'm going to pop back in. I'm going to get this second name server, and I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to pop the second one here. Okay, and then I get the little tiny blue check mark over here. So I'm going to click that. Okay, so now that is going to go ahead and update the name server at the registrar level. Okay, now you can make all kinds of DNS changes here, and it typically takes some time. The DNS has to go out, excuse me, it has to propagate to servers sort of around the world. Usually it's pretty quick, but sometimes there can be a fairly long delay. Okay, so, well, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and pop back over to our Cloudflare account. We'll see, it's going to have to go out and verify, right? But we're going to hit next. We've put those in there. Okay, we're going to hit check name servers now. It might be done already. It could take some time. So either way, it's now, Cloudflare is now checking the name servers. It says, please wait a few hours for the update. I'm betting it's not going to take that long. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and we'll come back in a little bit as soon as it's ready. I'd like to point out while we're waiting here that this little thing right here, it shows you registrars can take up to 24 hours to process name server changes. It's quicker in most cases, right? But again, this is one of the reasons why we always start with Cloudflare, because once that process is done and the name servers are switched over to Cloudflare, basically we're hosting our DNS with Cloudflare. And what that means is if in the future we need to add a subdomain or we need to change something, add a new email service or something like that, we just need to add something to the records. We no longer have to wait this potentially long period of time for it to happen, because it's already pointing to Cloudflare. Cloudflare, you make a change, you hit save, It's nearly immediate, okay? Like the delay is so tiny, you barely even notice. So that's one of the reasons why we go to Cloudflare. Another great reason we like to use Cloudflare is it also provides some security at the DNS level. So it's kind of considered on the edge of the cloud. It's going to provide SSL encryption for free. So we can install the SSL on your site, and it provides some really good protection against DNS attacks and different things like that. So overall, it's just good for security. Also has like like a content distribution system, I believe. Well, that's where it sort of helps speed up the serving of your images and things like that. So I don't know. There's just a lot of benefits. I don't use everything that it does, but I'm telling you, it's like the number one thing I do when I register a domain. Okay, now it looks like it's only been a few minutes and we are already set up and running. So now our new domain is now set up on Cloudflare, and that's where we're going to manage our DNS. So let's take a quick look here. We'll go over to the DNS. Oh, refresh this. New version of the page is available. Okay, well, what is that doing here? It's not giving me what I want there. Okay, so now everything is back up and running. We can see that the domain is added, the status is active, and showing we have no visitors. It's actually brand new. So let's go into the domain itself. We see we are connected. Let's see if the DNS records are available. Yep, here we go. So I'm going to go here through here and say these are all things that were pretty much included right from the bat. So I just kind of don't need any of them. I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to leave the SPF record in there for now. I'm going to end up changing that later, but I don't need any of these things at all right now. I'm going to be switching all of these out. So I'm going to delete all these 9 records, type delete, get them out of there right now. Boom. Okay, so now I got to figure out where am I going to put this thing? Like, where am I going to host the website? Because I got to add some new DNS records. So I am going to do that part next. In this particular instance, I'm going to set this up in my GHL software. So I'm going to go in my GHL, I'm going to navigate to my settings menu, and I'm going to look down here to where it says domains. I'm going to go ahead and connect a domain, right? And oh, look at this. There are some new things here. It's a little bit updated. So I'm going to go ahead and choose funnel. I'm going to connect this here. I'm going to put in my domain autointakepro.com. Okay, I'm going to put this in there. Yes, I also want to add the www, and I'm going to just hit continue. Now this has a really nice process. Since I am already logged into Cloudflare, this is going to kind of log in there for me and add these records automatically, which is like a big time saver. Like I know how to do this, but this confuses a lot of people. So now we can see like what records we're going to add. Okay, right off the bat, we're going to add an A record that's going to point to the particular hosting platform here, GHL. We're going to add a C name for the subdomain www. Now we're just going to authorize the domain. You can see we're going to Cloudflare. I've already added the domain, so now it's going to say these are the records we're going to include. We're going to authorize that. We're going to hit the button, and it's going to take a few seconds, and it's going to go in there, and it's going to add these records for us. Now, oddly enough, I've seen this happen before. It says, "Oh, there's a problem with that action," but I've seen this before, and I think that's a little bit of a misnomer. I click over here and I see, okay, there the records were added. There is the A record that we wanted to put in there. There is the C name record. I am not going to proxy this because I'm just going to do a pass-through DNS only. We have the time to live set. This one is at 10 minutes. This is 1 hour. It doesn't mean it's really going to take that long. It's actually usually much faster. One way I can tell if it worked is I open a new browser window. Let's go to autointakepro.com. Spelled it right. Yep, looks like it. We can see here that, okay, so this is going to Cloudflare. This is a Cloudflare error page. So it's not in there yet, but we are pointing to Cloudflare. So we'll wait a minute for some more changes to take place, and we'll check again. All right, now back in here looking at GHL, I went ahead and verified the domain settings were there. They are, and now it looks like, yay, the domain was added successfully. It says, what do you want to do? Select an existing funnel that you have, a website store. We're going to call this I don't know, let's start it out as a website. I don't have one in there built yet. Um, but so I'm going to go ahead and just say proceed to finish. We're not linking anything yet, okay? But the domain is in there. You can see, it's not linked to anything yet. Okay, so I'm going to go in and show you how to link it to an existing, if you have an existing site, well, you can go ahead and link that thing right in here, right? So I can say, connect it. And like in the other previous thing, like if I have something that's already built, I can go ahead and put it in here. I don't know. Let's just choose this gradient test. This is something I made a while back. This is obviously not, what I'm going to use. But then the default page or whatever, the 404 page, we're just going to go here, proceed to finish, and then let's give it another shot once this is done. Okay, we do say we have something that is linked to a funnel. It says it is all set. Let's give it a try again, see if we're still having an error. Look at that. So there you go. So now we're actually pointing to a live website that I set up, or autointakepro.com. It's there. Connection is secure. So our SSL has been issued. So we're in good shape. And you can see this was a test I was doing just to have like a CSS gradient. I put a gradient on a button. I put a gradient on a background. So this is obviously not where I'm going to have this pointed to. I'm going to build a site next to go here, but that is the basics. Register the domain with your registrar. Go to Cloudflare, set it up, do the steps that I showed you, connect it to your hosting platform, and double check that it's going to the right place, and then you're all set. You can have a website that's there, and now you just bought a website domain, set it up in Cloudflare, and pointed it to your website. So there you go. Hope that demystifies things just a little bit. Any questions? Feel free to reach out to me, leave a comment, like and subscribe for more helpful tutorials in the future. Thanks a lot, and have a great day. Bye.